Ah, Outriders, one of the most anticipated games of this year. How did it turn out? How did we go from this revolutionary game, this game where everything was possible, this big open world where you could do everything you couldn't do in Anthem, for example? How did it turn out to be one of the most disastrous launches with bugs and glitches and server issues and hard to overlook faults in the game? How did it turn out like that? In this video, we'll find out. We'll go ahead and analyze everything from pre-launch to the launch to post-launch and see what might have caused the problem. Now bear with me. I know that the game is in the process of being fixed. Yes, I know that. I'm well aware. I'm not going to do anything to antagonize the game either, because the game is really promising. I'm only going to talk about the faults that were when the game launched. So, without further ado, let's get right into it with the first segment. So, probably the most important thing to talk about is the development process. Now, this is actually pretty freaking awesome to talk about. People Can Fly, the studio behind Outriders, has been developing the game since 2015. The game has been in development for 6 years, which you can really see. It really reflects by the polish and the care in the game itself. Now, in 2015, during the time that they were developing the game, they went to Square Enix and they, of course, agreed to publish the game. And while also agreeing to publish the game, they told and encouraged the developers to expand their vision on the game, make it the best ambitious game you can ever make. So, People Can Fly, they expanded from 40 to 200 people just to work on this game alone, which really helped and aided in the development process. Now, like I said, there hasn't been any problems up until 2020, where everything went wrong. So, during the start of 2020, People Can Fly got word and wind of the pandemic spreading really fast. So they prepared as much as they could to work from home. But of course, you can't really expect that the structure really holds when you work from home. And of course, the game was delayed from the end of 2020 to April 1st, 2021. Now, during that delay, they used the time, the few extra months, to polish and really get the game going. Now, one thing to note is that during the time that they worked from home, they couldn't really fix everything with the game. The bugs, the technical issues, the server issues and all that, because they weren't at the studio. So, therefore, the game suffered a lot at launch. But I'll get on to that later. Anyways, there hasn't really been anything wrong with the game in particular. The game has had a great development cycle, and nothing noteworthy has ever happened. But at launch, everything went wrong. Let's talk about it. So, the launch. Well, we all know how that turned out, don't we? There isn't really anything to say about the launch, other than it's every launch in 2020, 2021. The games are glitchy, buggy, there's hiccups, technical hiccups, there's server problems, there's all that. There isn't really anything to say about it other than anything that's happened before. But the thing that differentiates Outriders from any other game that has been launched in this period is that the game is very playable. The bugs and all that, they don't really impact the game like that. When I played it myself, I didn't really have anything to say about it, other than I noticed a lot of the bugs and glitches, but they didn't really deter me from the game because the game was so grabbing. It really grabbed you and sucked you into the game, so you don't really do anything or say anything about the technical bugs and all that. Of course, the thing that didn't work at launch was the multiplayer, the selling point of the game, the multiplayer survival game, you know? I know that many people were mad about it because they were happy to play with their friends and all that, but as I said, you can't blame them. They could have pushed the game, delayed it more, but that wouldn't have changed anything because it's the time where we live in now. You can't really work in the studio, you only work from home, which slows down the development process really, really bad. So, the final words I can say about the launch is that they didn't really have a disastrous launch, but the launch was there anyway. The disaster was that they launched the game in this time period. I know that many people were expecting it, and the demo attracted many people to it. I played the demo myself. It's one of the best demos ever. But the technical hiccups and all that, they're the things that deter you from the game. But the game shouldn't receive any backlash because of it. Because they couldn't really fix it in time. I know that they have thrown out multiple patches to just fix the game, make it playable. It is playable now if you want to go solo, but co-op and all that is not that playable. Which you can say is something that's bad, but in my opinion, don't give them flag for it. It's how it is. But yeah, that's the launch. There hasn't really been anything noteworthy other than that. So let's get over to the post-launch. So, post-launch. In what state is the game as of now? Well, the game is actually very playable. Square Enix and People Can Fly have been announcing a lot of patches and a lot of fixes for the game, important fixes, and just overall things that needed to be done before the game was published. So they are very committed to this game, unlike BioWare and EA. But the thing to note is that the game isn't really a disaster. Nothing really happened to the game like that. The game just kinda fell off, you know. It fell off because it was plagued by technical problems and all that, server issues and all that because of the pandemic. So, yeah, there isn't really much to say. The game is in a playable state. It has a promising future. The multiplayer is up and running soon, if not now, by the time this video was published. But I hope you really see that a game can be redeemed, but you really shouldn't try to outcompete any other studios, because I know for a fact that EA was out with the statement the second Outriders launched, just to clown the studio, you know. Of course, you can pinpoint a lot of things just to pinpoint problems, but you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. But anyways, this has been what happened to Outriders, and I really think that this game has a promising future. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more of this, please do consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. And as always, stay awesome.